Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. We're here because Alyssa asked a question earlier this week that we just didn't have really time to get into, and that was the question was, how did I convince Joel to spend the money? Well, I'm going to get into a lot of that, but first I wanted to say that I didn't have to convince Joel, but that's later in the story. So I want to talk about why and how I started selling LuLaRoe when I thought I would never do something like this. I hate parties. I hated going to parties. I hated the idea of direct
Not
marketing.
parties,
Yeah.
just like parties where they sell.
Yeah.
We like to party.
We No, we don't.
Shh, don't tell them.
Anyway, so
Just the selling, like the candle parties and the
yeah,
oil
Tupperware or like
oils.
whatever. So it was kind of crazy. My friend had, this is back in April of 2015. My friend had a online party, online pop-up with a friend or a gal named Samantha Carlson. And she invited me to it. She just like cold invited me to it, and I was checking it out, and I kind of wanted to support her. I like clothes, and I thought some of the clothes were really cute. So I believe I ordered a Randy and a pair of leggings for my daughter, just to help support her. And then when the Randy came, I was super excited because I really liked it. I thought it was really cute. And Emmy loved her leggings. And then I decided I needed a pair of leggings. And I reached out to the gal who had the pop-up and said, hey, at the time I didn't realize what LuLaRoe was. I didn't understand that there were hundreds of retailers. I had never heard of it before, this pop-up. And so I reached out to her and said, hey, can you add me to any more of these pop-ups that you do so I can shop? And she said, sure. And so she added me to a few more, and I bought a few more pieces. And then I started getting into how LuLaRoe worked and stuff like that, and started thinking about, hey, I was seeing how amazing these clothes were. I was loving them. And Joel and I were talking one day, and he's like, well, he actually brought it up to me and said, well, what would you want to sell this stuff? And I was like, no, I don't want to. It seems like it's a lot. And he then said to me, okay. And then I was thinking about it, and I said, well, maybe I should just find out how much it costs to get into it. And he's like, okay. So I called Samantha, and I messaged her on Facebook, and I said, hey, can you tell me, more about this business and how much it costs to get started and all this kind of stuff? And at the time when she told me that it was, what was it? It was $5,500 just for my initial inventory. I said, thank you very much. It was great talking to you. And I'll be shopping with you soon. And I told Joel about it, and I said, oh my gosh, hon, it's so expensive. We did not have a savings account that would support a $5,500 purchase.
We had bills.
We had bills. Nope. I was going through a legal issue with my ex-husband at the time, so I had attorney's fees. I was in a really kind of dark place back then. And Joel started doing research. So he did way more research than I did.
It's a personality.
Yeah. So why don't you tell
or
them about the research you did?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a personality flaw, maybe, in that I can't make a decision without doing a ton of research. I have to read as much as I possibly can about stuff before I'll feel comfortable about it. And it's really silly because it's like
Obsessive.
everything I buy, I have to make sure that I'm like, we just bought a microphone for her setup, and it's $20. And like, really? I spent hours trying to figure out which was the best one, and well, if we just bought the $60 one, would it be that much better? Like, it's ridiculous. So, but this was different, right? Because it's a lot of money.
For us, it was a lot of money.
It's a lot
It's
of
a lot
money.
of money.
And uh, and it's not. so it wasn't something that was trivial for us. Um, so I wanted to make sure that like I understood what it was, right? So I was familiar with pyramid schemes like Amway and Mary Kay and
They're not they're
Avon. No, those are
oh,
pyramid schemes,
okay.
and so I was familiar with those, and I understand how they work, right? Like so you sign up to sell product, and the goal isn't necessarily to sell product. The goal is to get people to sign up underneath you so that you can get a cut of their deal or whatever. And so those are just nasty, right? Like those types of setups are just not, they're not set up to help support you. They're set up to support the people at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I was very weary that, okay, is this another one of those type of deals? And the more reading I did, the more I found out about the culture. It absolutely isn't. It's more driven towards helping women create their own space in the world, basically. And, like, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you don't have an income, this could give you an income, and you can still stay at home and you can still have time with the kids, and you spend a couple hours that maybe you were watching Netflix or whatever, and you can own your own business. And so I was very intrigued by that, intrigued by the fact that LuLaRoe as a company, their main intention was not to necessarily grow their retailer base. It was more about how can we strengthen families? How can we make sure that if this is something that you want to do, get you the most support?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like kept reading over and over and over. And so I was like, okay, so what's the catch, right? Like, what is there's got to be something negative. Someone's got to be saying something negative about it. And really the only negative thing was the initial upfront money that you had to come up with. But I guess the solution or the answer to that is, or it was, you'll have to correct me. I don't remember but at the time, even if you decided a month later that you didn't want to do this anymore, so you bought your initial inventory for whatever, $5,500, and you decided a month later, like, this is way too much work, or I didn't really understand what I was getting into, they would let you send it back and you would only be out 10% or something. There's
10%.
there's like a 10% restocking fee or something, which is like, whatever. So you're out $500, you know, to start up your own, basically run your own business. Like Heather owns her own business that she runs out of her house. So there's not a lot of investment opportunities. There's not a lot of startup businesses where your risk percentile is only 10%, right? Like there's nothing you can find out there where you can start your own business and the worst thing that can happen would be that you'd be out 10%. Most small businesses, if you do research, like will fail and you're out everything. You're out your entire investment. Maybe you start a motorcycle shop or something like that. You have so much upfront investment capital that you have to put into it, and you know, a month or two later, you're like, I'm not making money. I'm going under or whatever. That's tough luck. Like you have to figure out what to do with that. So the risk, from what I read and what I understood, seemed really low. So we're like, the worst that could happen, you send it all back.
No.
Or the worst that could happen, you sell it all at wholesale over some time and you pay back your investment.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we didn't have, $5,500 plus the money to buy all the shipping supplies and, all this kind of stuff that, Jill put that list together and posted it. I hope you guys check that over. And so when we talked about it, I was still like kind of on the fence about it. This is, I think, probably the beginning of May
Of 2016.
of 2015.
15?
16? No, this is my second year. So you're right, it's 16.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I started this journey in 2016, not 2015. And I think I sat on it for a few days and we talked about it. And I decided that this was something I really needed to do. It wasn't something I wanted to do. It was something that in me I needed to do, but I was petrified. So I didn't tell Joel because he had said, if you want to do this, you figure out how to get the money and we'll do this. Because it was going to be like my business, right?
Right. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
the entire thing was, okay, if this is something you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
I will be supportive of it,
Mm-hmm.
but you are going to have to be the one that owns it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you set it up, you figure out where the money's coming from,
Mm-hmm.
you do all of the setup, with
Mm-hmm.
LuLaRoe and all that stuff, and I will be there to support you. But it all needs to be, this is something that you're passionate about and that you're wanting to do.
So I didn't tell Joel, but I called the bank and I took out a personal loan. I applied for one. I didn't know if I'd get it. I've had not the best credit in the past, like far distant past. But I think it was the first loan I had taken out by myself in years. And I called my bank. Actually, I think I filled out the paperwork online, and they called me 2 hours later and said, we'll have it deposited into your new business account as soon as you set up that business account. And I about fell out of my chair.
So you were approved before you had even finished setting up the business account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, we bank with a credit union,
Mm-hmm.
so
yeah,
highly recommend.
Yeah.
If you don't already have an account with the credit union, look at swapping your money over to a credit union.
They're so good to you.
So much easier to deal with.
And so I called Joel and I said, hey, I got the money. And I think he about fell out of his chair when I told him I got the money. And I'm going to do this.
Honestly, I was shocked. I didn't think they would give her any money. That's why I was kind of like, okay, well, you go and figure this out. Because knowing, like, there's no way she's going to come up with that money and this will just die. Like, she'll just be buying clothes.
So, no, they gave me the money, thank God. And it was a low interest rate. I should have had it paid off by now.
Well, we can get into why it's not yet.
But I took out an $8,500 loan. 55 of that was for the initial, which now is much lower. If you look at the new thing, I think it's like $3,500 now.
Yeah, it's like $2,000 less.
Yeah. And then I had all the extra for setting up my LuLaRoe, buying shipping supplies, buying business cards, all of that extra kind of supplemental stuff on the side that you need. But back then the wait was, how long did I wait? I signed up. I sent the paperwork in and I waited, I think 6 to 8 weeks at the time.
Weeks, yeah. It was a long time.
It was a long time.
Painful. But they had given you a heads up, like it's going to be a while because there were so many people signing up at that time.
And now I think the queue, what did they say? The queue is like 3 days or something, or 6 days or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like super
Well, they have
short.
an entire team that deals with that at the LuLaRoe home office. So they didn't before.
Right. So during that 2 months, it gave us time to set up and it gave me time to go back and forth on my decision because I didn't have to pay them until they called me. Or didn't have to pay for my initial until you don't pay for your initial until you get your call. And got the call and we were off and running. So, I mean, basically I didn't have to convince Joel to allow me to use the money. Joel actually really, after he did the research, he kind of changed my mind on how this could be a good thing for us and how it could be a good thing for me. I was in a very stressful job. I made about $100,000 a year. And last year, so then let's go back. So then last year I don't remember what month it was. We'd been in business about a year and Joel was laid off from work, from his job. Which again, he also made almost $100,000 a year. So between the two of us, we had a pretty good income.
We both were in the tech industry.
Mm-hmm.
I still am, but
Mm-hmm.
we're both in IT, so computer software jobs.
And Joel was laid off, so we kind of freaked out. But we went to convention. I paid for convention mostly cash.
It was in July.
And I took Joel to convention with me, and it changed his. I mean, he always was supportive of LuLaRoe, but when we went to convention, he was vested 100% after convention. I think he went from 50% invested into my business to 100% invested in my business.
Yeah,
Is that true?
Yeah, I think what changed too for me was that, like, it's one thing to set all this up in your Lula room in your house, and maybe have a couple people that are nearby where you can go and like see what they're doing or talk to them or whatever. But it's something else to see like thousands of people all together, all like super pumped, amped about the business and the company, and then to hear the support from the company itself about like how everything they're doing it basically to support you as retailers. So it was pretty eye opening. Like I had been to other conferences and conventions just in the software world, and all of them are just like, how much money can we make? How do we, what do we need to do to make more money? Chanting and cheerleading, and it's really like a totally different experience with LuLaRoe. Like they really want you to succeed, and they really want to give you all of the tools that you need to succeed. Now, obviously, you have to put in the work. You have to be driven enough to make this work and make the dream come alive, I guess. But they're really not going to get in your way, and they're really going to do everything that they possibly can do to help provide you with the tools that you need, right?
And if you utilize the tools.
And so that's what I got out of going to convention, was that, wow, they're not just in this for money, right? Like we don't just send you money and you send us random stuff in a box. It's you're really the decisions that you're making are really about making sure that women have a place in this world, and that they have opportunities to be their own boss and get out of sucky jobs that they hate and don't feel fulfilled from. And like that was Heather's whole thing. Like she was working in software with absolute, like a total thankless job, no redemption value at all, and just like go to work and come home and have nothing really to show for it other than a paycheck. And that's like mentally wears on you, right? And I could tell that. I could tell it just wasn't her passion. It wasn't what she wanted to do. And clothes and making women feel good in clothes was her passion. And I could tell that like from day one. I knew that was what she enjoyed doing. And so, I went to convention to like help support her or be there.
Actually, he went to drive the convertible Camaro.
Well, I wanted to. We spent a little bit extra money and got a nice car, but I really just went to like kind of hang out and do the things with her, and it was really eye opening for me. So, I don't.
So that changed our journey then to Joel working the business full time. So if you remember in August, Joel worked the business full time. Until he decided that he actually wanted to go back to work full time.
I had a good opportunity.
Yeah, I had a good opportunity landed in his lap. So he went back to work.
Because honestly, I would still probably be doing it.
You think so?
Yeah, I would still probably be doing it full time, and you would probably be working.
I would have had to find another job. Well, the thankful part is that this business supported us through the summer while Joel was off work. And then Joel went back to work November 1st. December 1st, I was laid off of my job. Um, I was planning on going to LuLaRoe full time in April or May, probably.
We had talked about it
Mhm.
and had long discussions about, okay,
Mhm.
here's the end game
Mhm.
as far as you working
Mhm.
full time, like in IT or whatever,
Mhm.
because she was just miserable and stressed out,
It was horrible.
and we have always talked about her doing this full time. Like
Mhm.
if you can dedicate your full time resources to it, there's absolutely no reason you can't be successful
Mhm.
at it, right? It's kind of tough. I won't lie. It's kind of tough to do it part time. It's very tough to do if you don't have support from another person.
Mhm.
Um, but it's doable. There's lots of women that are, making an extra $1,000, $2,000 a
Well,
month.
I want to stop you right there because that's a great point. And with LuLaRoe, I have a goal every month. Your goal doesn't have to be my goal. Your goal can be an extra $500 a month.
Well, and your goal at the beginning wasn't what your goal is now, right? So
No.
we've transformed.
Our goal has grown.
Yeah,
I mean, at first it was to cover some fees that came up when I started. That we outgrew that like almost immediately. Um, and then we it grew to I saw some people go on the cruise and I was like, I have to be on a cruise. I have to do that cruise.
So explain the cruise.
Okay, so the cruise is an incentive that LuLaRoe gives to their retailers. So like the first year I started, it was you had to do 6 consecutive months of selling $12,000 a month retail. So
that was in 2016. That was the requirement.
Yeah, it was six consecutive months. And then last year they changed it to 6 consecutive months, but you could have a 2 month gap in between.
No, not
at one point.
not 6 consecutive
Oh,
months. It had to be
months.
6 months within an 8 months
Yeah,
span.
yeah. And then this year they've changed it to 6 months. So they don't have to be consecutive. They could be
any
6 months out of the year.
Every other month if you want, or the first 6 months and just relax.
Right. And so we have made we've done 2 of those months so far. We have 4 months left to go.
What about last year?
Oh, what do you mean last? Let's not talk about last year.
We have to bring it up. So last year, she did, or we did, actually cruise qualify. However, we were on another cruise, a personal cruise that we paid for and booked. And when I'm going to skip ahead, but they sent the message and we missed it. Mm-hmm. And we missed the deadline to send back the information. So technically, we did qualify for the cruise. So we met the requirements. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this next year, 2019, we will be on the boat.
We will be on the boat, and my plan is to cruise qualify every month.
Yeah,
12 months. So I mean, my goal is to sustain our family and our bills and my income that I've lost from my normal paycheck. I need to bring home 12 plus a month to make that work. But if you're doing this,
sorry, you need to sell.
Yeah,
not
bring home. Yeah, I need to sell $12,000 retail a month. Yeah. Some months it seems harder than others. There's ups and downs in the business. Last month was fabulous for us. This month has started off pretty well.
And some of it is seasonal. Mm-hmm. Like people don't buy clothes at certain times in the year, and so you have to know that. You have to adjust for it
and plan.
And that's kind of why we took our cruise in December, because December's historically not a very good month for retail clothing sales. Like everyone's spending their money on tech gadgets and stuff for Christmas. So
right, but the bonus with LuLaRoe right now and joining right now, I think, is that they have so many new things. Like all of the established customers of LuLaRoe, they haven't stopped buying, right? Because LuLaRoe has been so innovative with their new styles that are coming out, and they're like just coming out that there's no reason your sales can't grow with each of those. And I think that would be the best time ever to join LuLaRoe. I don't think there's I mean, there's minimal risk involved.
Yeah. I think so just like uh for the sake of transparency. So when we first joined there were 20 something thousand retailers, right?
25.
Yeah, there was there's roughly 25,000. It quickly grew to like 40,
No,
almost
it went up to
60.
80.
Yeah, it really quickly grew after we joined. And then a lot of people realized that, hey, you have to work. That, hey, LuLaRoe's not just going to send you money. Uh, hey, people don't just automatically sign up underneath you and uh, you get a free paycheck. Like, that's not the way this works, you guys. This is a business. This is your business,
Hmm.
and you get what you put into it. If
Hmm.
you don't have time to put into it, you're not going to get back what it is that you're expecting to get back, right? Like you get back what you put into it.
Right.
So, where did I start with that?
I don't know.
No, there was a point. There's a point to that. I hate that.
That's okay.
But anyway, it's just like whatever you can put into it
Hmm.
is what you'll get back.
Right. And you have to design your business too. Are you going to be online? Are you going to do pop-ups? Are you going to do it only at your house? Like you need to
I
design your
recommend doing
business.
all of it. I recommend you do all of it. Don't pigeonhole yourself
Hmm.
immediately. Like before you even start, don't say, "Well, I'm only going to do online because I only have time for online," or "I'm only going to do pop-ups in my house," or whatever. You need to do all of it so that you can see what it takes to do all of these things and why you may want to do one over the other. Why one? Like some people do no online sales